Morning, afternoon, or evening. It looks like you are opting to watch a video that comes in more than one part, probably because it was lengthy and we like to keep them kind of short so people don't have to sit too long. So this could be a two-parter, three-parter, four-parter. I don't know which one you're looking at, but just wanted to let you know if you are on, say, part one and it has a part two, that part originally will come out on a date separate than part one. So just keep a lookout for the same title name where it says part two, part three, or part four, and you should find your way accordingly. I hope you enjoy, and I hope it helps clear up some sort of concept that someone was asking about. I'll see you later. Bye-bye now. Hey, good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to All Things Social Security. Today, we're going to go over composite jobs. I don't think it's given nearly enough credit, and I think it can be a really valuable tool to present, I would say, at every level. This is something that I would have in my brief. All right. So let's get to it. It might seem boring, but it's really not, and it's so applicable to so many jobs. And so here's the strategic point about it when you're defending your claim or pursuing your claim, putting your claim forward. You have to think about all those things, not just that's what I'm saying, not just your daily or your weekly, although you don't want to forget about those either. Those are the first ones you hit upon. But when there's other ones, and if you're not sure how often it is, how often that heavy lifting for that event or that less occasional chore was, then say it was occasional. It wasn't every day. Maybe don't get more specific than that. Because if you get too specific in your guessing, you could be putting a fork in your case untruthfully, because now you're guessing. So maybe keep that vague. We had to do this occasionally too. It was expected, but not daily. Leave the vagueness up to them to pick it out. If it's a lot of bending to the floor, a lot of reaching overhead that you don't really think about. Sometimes when people work in an office, this is just a little tangent, guys, for another kind of job. I'm an office helper or assistant, administrative assistant. We perceive someone sitting at a desk using a computer and or a phone all day long. A lot of times, those people, even the office managers, are going into the stock room, getting, let's say there's 6 printers, they're getting a whole box of reams of paper. They're not doing it every day. Maybe they're doing it once a month. But that's, a box of a ream of paper at $5 a ream, 5 pounds a ream times 8 reams or 10 reams, that's 40 or 50 pounds. And we don't think about that. We did that. And could we do that now? Or would it be unsafe? So I would be talking about how I was responsible for bringing out the boxes of the ream of paper to restock or make it available to restock the printers. Same with cases of water bottles. Do you restock the employee refrigerator? A case of water, all right, I'm not going to do the math here and I forget what it was, but I think it puts us well into the 20 pound, above 20 pounds. By the way, that puts us into the medium exertional rate, not the light rate. When you're carrying a case of 12-ounce bottles, should I do the math? 20, be nice if I get my phone to work. 12 times 24 is equal to, divided by 16. So at 20, I might do my math on that. Puts us at 18. That puts us up to the highlight. 12-ounce bottles, that's typical, right? Times 24 equals 288 divided by 16 ounces per pound, 18 pounds. If you have those bigger packs, like a 30 pack, it would be higher than 20. So sometimes they have bigger bottles. Sometimes they're carrying a 4-pack of gallons. It really just depends on what you have to do. Sometimes people have to carry a mop bucket and it holds 3 gallons of water. 3 gallons, like the industrial ones for like a commercial place. 3 gallons of water. If water at a gallon is over 8 pounds, we're talking well over 20 pounds. We're now into the medium weight range. Well, I only had to do that one time a week, when we were bringing out the mop bucket. I'm like, well, you still had to do it. Bring it in. And then all those like higher exertional duties that you mentioned that are part of the job that you had to do, whether or not it's part of the DOT explanation, you're going to want to link those duties duties to the RFC limitations, the residual functional capacity limitations that either have been established or you are asserting exist based on the medical record. So for example, let's say you can still talk to customers, but you can't lift more than 10 pounds occasionally. You cannot stand 6 hours, or you cannot sustain the pace of the job that you are at. If that's the case, then you can't perform the furniture sales composite job as it was actually performed, even though you can still do the talking to the customers. So if you go back to, and I know I mentioned 2 POMs here, so make sure I say them right. I think they have the same number except the last 3. So we have 0.020 and 0.025. In this case, the DI 25005.020 SSA makes it clear that they should not be pivoting to generally perform to deny the claim when this composite job, such as this furniture job, exists. All right. Now, step 5 is a little different, so we just have to get into this. It's a pretty significant clarification. Winning the composite issue at step 4 does not automatically win the whole case, because SSI can still move to step 5. And this is definitely important for you under 50 people. The same DI POMs that I mentioned above that ends in the 0.020, it also notes that at step 5, the SSA may consider whether the claimant can adjust to other work and may consider skills gained from the composite job as in a transferability analysis. So that's a whole nother aspect of transferability to skills. So step 4, to get rid of that, use the composite job, but recognize it is not going to just say that, well, then you can't do any job. No, you were just saying that you can't do the job you had the way you used to perform it. And they're not allowed to consider that job as it is generally performed. But now there's, in theory, there's 12,000 occupations that they can consider for you. And when the RFC knocks out 90% of them, now you got 10% left that you still got to knock out with other limitations, residual functional capacity limitations. As you know, once we get over 50, we have some medical vocational rules that apply to us and assist us because we are over 50, and our ability to adjust to all those other very different jobs becomes more limited. Fact. It's a biological fact of aging. So, and while we are all held to the same degree of standard of to what extent our ability to adjust and transfer skills and all that comes into play, and I don't think they overdo it at all. So I'm hoping they never change the level that it's at now, certainly not to reduce it. We all get the use of the same rule. Some of us probably needed it at 48 because we just mentally got off track with adjusting quickly. And then some of us could go till 62, but they can't apply and try to figure out how millions of people, each and every one, would differ. So they give us a very nice and cozy rule that we are allowed to apply to all of us. So, and I should add tangentially, if you are 48 and you feel that that's a big, strongly an issue, you can try to prove the mental incapacity, but you'd have to then do that not with the grid rule, but through the mental health cognitive testing you've been having and the weekly therapy and the maybe occupational therapy to try to build those skills back. So that's a little bit more work. So we really love our medical vocational rules. It adds a level of fairness, I think, to the aging folks, the people over 50. That is definitely on point with realities. Anyway, the bottom line in the end, guys, a composite job can be your advantage because it prevents the SSA from denying your case by relying on a very simplified DOT version of the job as generally performed. It gets rid of the generally performed, and it's all about how your job was that you performed that you can no longer do. If you develop the record correctly, the composite job rule can force a proper step 4 finding of unable to perform past relevant work. For those of you that do need to go to step 5, like the under 50 crowd and some of the over 50 crowd, if they were not able to prove that their RFC exertional level was within the category required under the medical vocational rule for their age range, they too will want to be looking at step 5. So it all goes back up to getting your proper work history report done. I drill this home all the time, endlessly. And that's why we don't let a work history report go out without us having reviewed it and discussed it with the claimant every single time. It is unfortunate when we get cases that the person's already applied and done the damage already. We still take those cases, but we often do a adjusted new work history report. And I explained that the client didn't know she was supposed to include all these real life things that she did at her old job. So we can usually make that work. But ideally, you don't have a judge having to decide whether you're credible now or credible when you first did it. I think that's all I wanted to share on that. Don't forget that it all does depend on your RFC. Remember, we tied in the RFC, and that all depends on how robust and vigorous and aggressive you're being with getting medical treatment for your physical problems. Yeah, and mental, but for sure, physical. So, you know, I have clients who have financial constraints. It's an unfortunate thing. Sometimes I'm always nagging about, well, can you maybe downsize a little bit on that thing over there so you have the money to, you know, pay that copay and get to the physical therapy? You know, maybe don't take that. I don't know. Maybe cut back on your broadband a little bit. Whatever it is, sometimes you just got to get creative. It's a temporary time period when you really have to get the most robust and aggressive evidence you can get, because no one's going to just assume you are disabled. That would be wrong, right? It has to be by proof. It can't be, you know, because you say so, even though you're for sure telling the truth. If that were the case, then all the liars would be in the system too, and then we would all fall down. Everyone's got to have the evidence, and it's through continuous, robust following for all of your impairments, not just the ones that bother you the most. I am the nag hag about it, so I will continue to do it. Composite jobs, guys, it is the bomb. I'll talk to you later. Bye. That part is over. If you're looking for the following part, if there is one, or a preceding part to the same video that was longer, just look under the channel for the same title video. They are named the same, and they just have part 1, part 2, part 3, or whatever part it is. So feel free to take a look, see, and complete the video. Take care.